welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a minute. I have taken a nice little break. I will get into it later on why I took my break, but I did have surgery. But today I just want to just dive right in. I want to kind of like just keep it to where it was before. You know how you have that friend that you can talk to no matter how long you and that person may have not spoken. When y'all do speak, it's like no time has passed. So that's how I want to keep this going. Like, we're just talking to that good friend that we haven't talked in a long time. We're just going to catch up and get right on into it. But today, I want to talk about symptoms of perimenopause. And the reason why I want to talk about because I know everyone is not like me in the situation that I'm in right now. I recently had a hysterectomy, and I will definitely get into that later on. We'll talk about reasons for hysterectomies, benefits for hysterectomies, and all the good jazz, and even life after a hysterectomy. That's where I am at this point. But in this episode, we're going to discuss what perimenopause is. As women, our bodies go through so many different changes and at different times in life, you know what I mean? And growing up, just to kind of like give you a little bit about me, growing up, I didn't hear women in my family talk about anything about body changes and anything like that. You pretty much got that as you went. And it's no fault of them. That's just, they grew up with the silent generation, then they became the boomers, and then here we are, Gen X, and we just pretty much figuring out life, if you will, But I want to make it clear I do share with my daughters, the things that I'm going through as a woman and things that you will, they will be going through as a woman, because I don't want them to be figuring out things on their own. Like, there has been women in my life, I can only speak on family that I know they're going through something and nobody shares. But you know what? I have to come to realize that's their business. That's their business. And they do not have to share. They don't have to share. But the crazy part about it, the flip side about it, they don't have to share. But something about you, they want to know. Well, what's going on with you, girl? You know how that go. You know how that go. But before we dive deep into all the symptoms of perimenopause and things that I may have experienced and things that you may have experienced, I want to talk about if you are into beauty and lifestyle. I do have a beauty and lifestyle YouTube channel. So if you're into that, come on over there, hang out with your girl. I do simple makeup looks. I do vlogs, a woman in her 40s, just kind of like doing simple things, nothing crazy, just relatable moments. So if you're into that, come on over and hang out. I just recently started two new series. One is called Life in My 40s, and it's just, women in our 40s, things that we do, things that we go through. And I'm just sharing from my point of view and then how I can relate to other women. In addition, I started a new series called Aging Graceful Diaries. And it's pretty much just going into that soft life, living that life where why do we have to be stressed out? Why does chaos mean calm? Just being in a space where we could just pretty much live, keep everything simple, have our good routines. It's okay if that routine fail, get another one, And I do want to get a part of this 5 a.m. thing. Like, I want to get into it. I want to start going to the gym in the morning, but I got to get clear first before I can go back to the gym. But nevertheless, if you're into like beauty and lifestyle, come on over, hang out with your girl. I'll leave all that stuff in the show notes so you can hang out with me on YouTube. But let's get into it. Perimenopause is also known as like the menopausal transaction, like, transition, if you will. I'm saying transactions, like there's a transaction, but it's like, it begins like so many years before you even jump into menopause. You got to go through so much. And some women, they go through it in their 30s. They go through it, all throughout. Like me, I definitely experienced some of these things, in my 40s and in my late 30s. And it's just pretty much where the ovaries are, I guess, not producing as much estrogen, so your body's just like going wacko, and you just going through it. So a few of the signs. So and this can be widely ranged, and chime in, leave them in the comments. Let's just talk about it. If you've have experienced any of these, let your girl know. I'm gonna share with you what I have experienced. So, first off, irregular menstruals, periods. I mean, like your cycle is going up and down. They're longer, they're shorter. Now, I did past tense suffered with fibroids. So I had the best of both worlds. Okay, I'm in my late 40s. So you going through the perimenopausal stuff, and then you're going through the fibroid stuff. So those two is like a recipe for disaster. Okay, disaster. And then you have the skip periods. I definitely experienced those. You can go for like 2-3 months, and the next thing, here you go, it pops up. Now I hate it for the women who get to that 11th month, and the next thing you know, the period shows up. Now you have to go through the process all over again. That has to be mind blowing. Can you imagine? You just hanging out thinking you just about to be over with, and then boom, it happens again. But baby, hot flashes, night sweats. I experienced those. That's a part of that's a part of the recipe for, menopause, perimenopause, I didn't get hot flashes. That as everyone speaks of it, to where it's like, you feel like a radiator coming up. And I mean, let me not say I didn't feel it. They weren't intense the way majority of women speak of it. Do I get warm, get hot, yeah, but not that from the inside or from the bottom and kind of like raise up, and it's kind of like, no. But have I had night sweats to where when I wake up I'm drenched? Absolutely. Now, I'm gonna give you a little insight. Since I've had my procedure done, I have not had any that were intense, if that makes any sense. So you wake up and your clothes are wet and things like that. That's different. But we'll get into that later. I'm gonna try my best to not mention about the hysterectomy, because I went through so many of these things. Sleep, like insomnia. I definitely experienced that. I can't even get it out, y'all. To the point where you feel tired, you want to lay down. You lay down. If you feel like you missed your mark on when you should have went to sleep, and now you're up all night. Up all night. And then you can still function the next day because you didn't get no sleep, but your body is like exhausted. But you just can't shut that brain off. What is that about? Oh my God. Mood swings. I don't need I get those regardless. I mean, I'm sure we all do. Somebody get you up, say your mood gonna swing. But when your estrogen is definitely low, the mood swings do come and go, and then especially with the menopause, I mean, not the menopause, with the PMS. That's another thing that can have your mood swings. Vaginal dryness. I didn't experience any of that, but I know that's something that definitely happens with us women. That can vary from extreme to kind of medium, middle of the road. But there's so many different things for that can help by increasing that estrogen that will keep that at bay, because that can probably be the most discomforting thing I can only imagine when you don't have anything moist down there. Libido. Oh, I was watching this lady on YouTube back talking about this hysterectomy again. She was mentioning that was something that was really important to her because she was married and she didn't want her hysterectomy to affect her libido because she was a married woman and she didn't want to disrupt her marriage. I didn't, have any issues with that. So I can't speak on, but I know women do mention that. Fatigue, weight gain, breast tenderness, that could be a part of PMS as well. Urinary problems. Now, I do have a girlfriend that she's going through that where her bladder is just, just going. But she also thinks it could be from fibroids as well. It is amazing how some of us have fibroids, right? And women will go and get that procedure, the myomectomy, I think that's what it's called. That will go in and remove the fibroid. Those are women who are still in childbearing years who want to have children. But my thing is, if you're gonna knock me out to that capacity and you going up in there and you doing all of that, and I got some kids already, you better take it out because we are not going under again, doing any of this again. No, no. Forgetfulness, that good old brain fog. Yes, y'all. Oh my God. I've been doing pretty good now. You know what? I'm gonna have to get outline this podcast episode for this hysterectomy because I tell you, I really feel good. But for those of you who are definitely going through perimenopause, these are some of the things that you can definitely, encounter. I know I was encountering them, but mine was on the flip side with the perimenopause in addition to the fibroids. And last but not least, like joint pain. Joint pain. I'm sure I'm probably still gonna, have that every now and then. But I tell you, you could not tell me I wasn't a part of the weather team. I was like, oh my God, my knees hurt. I can smell the rain. It's getting ready to pour because my knees hurt. Stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that. But on the flip side of things, y'all, us women, we go through so much, when it comes to our bodies just changing. And just think as when we were young and then when we, first got our menstrual, you can get your menstrual from the age of 9 right into the age of 12, 13, depending if you even play sports. Because I know if you play sports, your menstrual can come later. All the different things that our body just goes through is just amazing. But it's important to note that not all women will experience all these different symptoms. You won't. Some of you may just get one or two, just like for myself. Some of these things I encountered all, but in different ways, and it could just be, depending on the mood and time. You guys know what I'm trying to hit on. But some of these symptoms can be severe, some can be very gentle. It just goes from person to person, and how we care for ourselves and how our body is just in tune with good old mother nature. But if you are experiencing these symptoms, interfering with your daily life like I was, if you are experiencing, some of these symptoms, seek out to your healthcare provider. Get the help that you need. Don't wait. I know sometimes we feel like, we might go into a doctor for one thing and then they find out something else and then that kind of like tears your spirit. But I feel like look out for yourself. Because if you're not here for yourself, you can't be there for anyone else. You have to pour into your own cup, and they can help determine what path is best for you because we can self-diagnose ourselves in a minute. We be on Google looking at all the things, and before you know it, we looking up just for sore throat, and next thing you know, we about to die because we done looked up something else and it done went into something else. You guys know it could be from Wikipedia to WebMD. You guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just want to talk about perimenopause, because it's just we're at a time now where we should be very open and very kind of transparent, if you will, on things that we go through and things that we deal with as women. I just know the generation before us. I feel like now some of them are talking about it. The older Gen X. I fall into the younger Gen X because I think Gen X stop at 79, if I'm not mistaken. But the more the older ones, they're talking, and then some of the later boomers, they're talking as well because they come to see how important it is for us to just share things. And even if we come from different backgrounds, it's still okay to have that conversation because what may work for you may not work for me, but it's still good to just know that there are definitely more options out there. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone listening. And I want to say thank you to anyone that's watching. I truly, truly appreciate you. We are back and we're going to get this train going. And if you have any topics that you want to talk about, go ahead, leave it down below, leave it in the comments. I will be checking them and we can have these conversations going, going, going. I just want to say thank you again. I truly, truly appreciate you. And I will catch you in the next episode.